Welcome, you serene souls of the galaxy, those of you who search for small amounts of serenity and calm and peace as we live our lives through these most tumultuous times. It is I, Kev'aun Jones, ethereal of Sept Ormuz, and a friendly voice on the Vox waves. Today, I thought we could discuss the different challenges that species from across the galaxy face. In the Tau Empire, we value diversity and have been able to overcome many different challenges to incorporate different species under our rule, from humans to Vespids to Kroot, also, of course, Tau. We all live together despite dramatic differences between our cultures. Um, and we have found that despite these differences, we get along better than most species of the galaxy, with perhaps the exception of the Tyranids. uh, well, yes. Uh, but let's take a look, see who's all here. Let's greet everybody. We, of course, have Eric Rayner, who, of course, eternally defends us against attacks from the Men of Iron. Golden Grunt. We do have some Orc listeners, so it's good to see you too. Blessed Brother Caldo, Scroll Keeper, Ibian666, Requiem Lull, Null Shed, Lil Wands the Night Lord, Richard Valdez, and of course, Fairy Den. So, anyway, if you wanted to share the plight of your particular species and really illuminate the unique challenges that you face, we just want to let you know that the Vox Waves are open to your call. I will try to keep an eye on the chatterbox to see what people are discussing. But if you would like to be taken live on the air, all that we ask is for a small donation to help us keep the lights here on here in Sept Ormuz. A reminder that this is not a replacement for psychotherapy. If you are struggling with any kind of serious problems, I do urge you to seek professional help, and also please do some diligent research, because not all professional helpers are all that professional or helpful. The purpose of this voxcast is to spread some understanding, find some common ground amongst even the most violent and belligerent forces in the galaxy. So let's see what we let's see what everyone's talking about. Um, Yael is saying, this greater good thing sounded good after seeing the Imperium. That's certainly what we're hoping. That by our example, that by the improved lives that people have in the Tau Empire, that people will slowly come to realize the wisdom of the greater good, and adjust and make efforts to contribute, and then all good-hearted species in the galaxy can be united under one rule, and prosper and trade and get along, and exist as best they can in a very challenging galaxy. Do humans and Xenos interbreed? I don't believe we can. I believe our biology is too different. But that's not to say that there haven't been. There are all manner of fairly unethical scientists that are out there in the galaxy. I'm sure somebody's tried. There's the good point. There's the gene stealer. That's a little bit different, given that Tyranids are designed to absorb the genetic information of other species to improve themselves and always essentially out-evolve their opposition. Always changing. Someone can hear the dog. Yes, one of my assistants, human assistants, brought their canid into the studio. And despite his inability to speak, he does receive commands quite well. And right now he is contentedly lying by my seat. Actually, why don't we take a look? He's looking very sweet right now. So let's go ahead and have a look at. There he is. Let's get you. There you are. He's happy. Look at him be happy. He was apparently his species does need to be taken out for exercise purposes fairly frequently, and that was what Kristen was doing right before we started the voxcast. Oh, they were all saying you're a very good boy. They're all saying you're a very good boy. He apparently he's indicating that he is happy that he is a good boy. Let's see. As the Guevesa, the greater good has trained me a lot better to fight by my side with the fire warriors. Good to hear. Good to hear. Right. Let's see. I've always tried to improve myself. The steps are small, too small sometimes. I think. Maybe if I ate someone like the Nids, I'd improve faster. I don't know if that's the case. I think having some reasonable goals is and some reasonable expectations might be helpful. We're all only here in the galaxy for a limited amount of time, and we all are under different circumstances, and what we do with our existence is often somewhat limited by the context in which we live. But I think everyone can take steps to live a more fulfilling life and really reach their potential as much as they can, hopefully without suffering too much regret. Old Man Skeletal, go ahead. A donation for Dog Cam. Day has been improved. Well, that's good to hear. Yes, I do know that that canids are also sometimes referred to as dogs. I think having two names for something can be a little confusing. But no, he seems, despite having a lot of, he has a lot of fur that does seem to leave his body fairly frequently. Kristen is always cleaning it up, so. No. He doesn't. Don't give him a gray skin leg to chomp. He doesn't. He doesn't eat. He doesn't eat Tau. So Jones, do you know what an M1A2 Abrams main battle tank? I can't say that I do. I'm unfamiliar. In these grim dark times, I've not heard of such a tank. The Necrons are here basically forever. Not that they're happy about it. I mean, that's a good point. It might be that our mortality is a way of making our time in existence mean something. That if living an immortal life leads to kind of an inevitable degradation of one's happiness and one's sanity, I think the Necrons could be a good example of that. There's also figures in the Imperium who have lived quite a long time. I don't know how happy the Emperor himself is in his current state. I'm not certain how happy Gilliman is or the other Primarchs that are still around. Dante has lived for a very, very long time. I believe he has kind of hit the threshold of his suffering. So there might be something to that. The Eldar, I don't know how many Eldar are truly happy. Scrollkeeper says, Kev'aun Jones, easiest way to peace, buy a round of drinks for everyone. I usually feel at peace with a beer. Well, that's when it comes to alcohol consumption, that certainly can happen. Um, I think I've said this before. Alcohol is an interesting substance because it removes inhibitions, but it is also a depressant. So if you consume alcohol at a fairly moderate level, you experience a kind of giddiness. You lower your inhibitions. You become more pleasant and open with people, which is what you're talking about. Uh, but if you consume alcohol and you're in a depressed state or you're in an angry state, oftentimes the chemical reaction in many species, which I can't say for all, but I think it affects tau a little bit stronger than it does humans. We're a little bit smaller than you are, um, but it can exacerbate those states of mind. So if you buy a round of drinks and there are corn berserkers there, well, if there are corn berserkers there, you probably wouldn't have time to buy them a drink. But if they were for some reason not killing you and they started to drink, you would be increasing the odds that they would end up killing you anyway. I believe there's certainly a lot of violence that comes from that is rooted in a lot of alcohol consumption. I haven't heard squig beer. I'm hearing orcs talking about squig beer. Why don't you tell us about squig beer? Curious. You got kicked out of Komara again for being too weird. Their words, not mine. Where do I go from here? I feel like I don't have a place in the galaxy. Well, I suppose I don't know what sort of person gets kicked out of Komara for being too weird without being horribly tortured and executed. I have to admit, Nulshet, that I am very nervous to ask what circumstances were for you being removed from Komara, that somehow you had committed so great of a faux pas that they refused to allow you to dwell in their den of iniquity and torture. Squig beer is made out of squig. Is that simple? Well, I suppose that is simple. Is squig beer stronger than the beer that humans make that tends to be out of hops and barley or wheat or corn or other kinds of grain? Squig beer is like you want to stomp some gits, you see, but when you can get some squig beer, you know you want to stomp more gits, but with the lads. So you grab every choppa and shoota to go stomp gits. I'm not sure how I see this as different from most orc behavior. Maybe it makes it happen faster that all of the orcs get together and want to go kill, because that's generally what orcs do. They gather together and then want to go kill. My throne is on being too emotionally honest as the reason. Hmm. Orcs are shrooms after all. Squeeze them hard enough, ferment the liquid that comes out, and voila, squig beer. I suppose that makes sense. I think you can ferment anything that has sugars in it. Pretty much any organic substance. Sometimes it's easier or more difficult because um, are certainly life forms that have antibacterial uh, qualities in them that kill off the fermentation bacteria, um, which sometimes need to be dealt with. But it certainly can happen. So how is everyone feeling today? How is everyone doing in their corner of the galaxy? What is everyone struggling with? Scroll keeper. Well, if drinks don't work, than what I usually just chat with people. Chatting is fun and calm. Um, I would agree. I mean, that's kind of what we're doing right now. We're all joined together in conversation, um, socialization, and just uh, making each other understood. Understanding other people and being understood can be a very calming sort of thing. Obviously, there are people that you might not want to interact with that are a hardship to listen to. Um, Blessed Brother Calda's feeling a little mopey. Uh, that's very understandable, as we're all living in a very difficult galaxy. So it is more than reasonable to struggle with having the blues sometimes, or severe post-traumatic stress disorder. Both those things are Commissar R.J. Pfeiffer's doing fine. I got a lot of vitamin D from this. Oh, you have a sun that does not that improves your health. Excellent. It's good to hear. Um, feel good. My choppa broke. Do I beat the smart boys over the head, or do I accept what is gone? What do you think? Well, if you're an orc, which is what it sounds like you are, um, I think you shouldn't. I don't think it's really, from what my conversations, albeit briefly, with orcs, it does not seem to be terribly orky to cling to the past. Orcs are creatures of the right now. And so I think the thing that mostly would make an orc happy, if their choppa broke, is to go get another choppa, either nicking it from someone else, beating up another orc, taking his choppa. Um, Maybe if you have the teeth, if you're a bad moons or you have some extra teeth, you can go shopping. You can go choppa shopping, and buy yourself a nice new one. There's also looting other species. Um, I would ask that you don't enter Tau space for that. We don't have we generally don't have much in the way of choppas that orcs like. So all right, let's take a look. Asaryani, we are so good. Our societies are basically perfect, no flaws whatsoever. So perfect, we need to transport it to other places to compensate. I believe you're talking. That's the term for the craft world, Eldar. Well, I think that the Eldar have their own problems. Obviously, in many ways more than other species. But that can be sometimes something we face is uh, large mistakes from our past can really haunt us. And as much as it is, one might want to point at the Eldar and mock them or feel angry at what has happened in the past. That it was their mistakes that have brought the galaxy to its current state. Um, I would say that there's still there is still something admirable in um, continuing to endure and continuing to um, strive after you've lost almost everything. Okay, we have Fairy Den with the donation. Go right ahead. Tao's just space commies, and not the cute one. Well, I don't know how much we have communal ownership of things. Um, it's a little bit different because we also have a caste system. We're not exactly modeled off of old human communism. We're much more similar. I think we do have a collectivist kind of mindset. We have a universality, which is often part uh, of communist ideology. That there is a commonness among people, and that if they all sort of belong to this system, there will be peace, prosperity, wealth, whatever have you. Um, but we have things arranged a little bit differently. Um, I think we're far enough removed from the we didn't have the industrial revolution did not occur the way it did in human history. Um, we're just there might be aspects of it that's similar, but I don't think it's similar enough for it to be a comparison that holds a lot of weight. Does that make sense? We're different. We're not. Honestly, I think that the Imperium, certainly its iconography and its methods of waging war, are much more reminiscent of different communist nations. I would say the Imperium is probably closer. All right, he says the system sounds unorky to me. Us once teeth, you go and punch the bad moon, get in the face. That makes sense. That makes sense. Well, as a psyker, you have to, as well as a psyker, you have to many voices. You have way too many voices in your head, so I have to deal with that. It's an interesting challenge, and it is something that I've wanted to learn more about. The challenges of psychers, who I understand hear the whispers of demons and different entities that are trying to sway them, that are trying to get their psychic hooks into them, for lack of a better term. Um, so I could see that being a very big challenge. What else is everyone struggling with? I would say probably one of my frustrations is um, we're on the edge of space. We are not very large. We don't have the fast and light capabilities that many other species do. There's a lot of things we do have that are pretty remarkable, um, but we are still a relatively small light in the darkness of the universe. Now we have, I believe it's Logan, the last psychic vampire Eldar, who I believe goes by Logan. Welcome. You're certainly welcome here. All right, what else we have? Struggling to contact the nearest watercast representative to find some old guardsman buddy of mine to join the greater good. Oh, it looks like we have looks like we have a call coming in. Go right ahead.
Hey, you need a chopper? I has lots. You can't have any. You want them? You gotta murder me first, and then I'll kill you and make my stuff pile bigger. Gross trap barn, right off Space Oak exit.
No, we thank you very much. That was one of our advertisers. Uh, Grot's Trap Barn. If you are an orc that needs to go get a pile of choppas, uh, Grot Trap Barn definitely has lots of them. And all the big greenskins should definitely go there, preferably one at a time because it's a little bit easier to handle the volume that way. All right, we have Old Man Skeletal calling in. Go ahead.
As a former Lich God, I've been having some problems. Many of my dynasty have been active in defending it. Even the Faerun seems indifferent to the issue. How do I cope while doing everyone else's job?
This is a very difficult challenge, and unfortunately, not everyone is able to remove themselves from a difficult work situation. Um, let's take a look. So you're having problems. Many dynasty have been inactive defending it. Um, so if you're the only person who's kind of doing things, my advice would be um, seeking out groups of like-minded people, people who are interested in kind of maintaining the dignity of your dynasty. You might want to have. It might be that you have to find people whose neural networks have not degraded over the long hibernation. You might need to. You might need to kind of start building a cadre of people. But one of the things I would say is, if you value your dynasty and the strength of your people, my advice would be that this is kind of a good time to start gathering power to yourself. Because if you're the only person doing the work, you can kind of start recruiting like-minded people and kind of expanding your power base so that you have greater influence in the court. Now, I'm not advocating that you're overthrowing people and causing disruption through any kind of civil war or anything like that. But if you can kind of, by your usefulness, get more control over things, you'll be able to kind of jumpstart stuff. Instead of being kind of the helpless person who has to do all the work, see if you can position yourself to be more in charge. Those are my thoughts on it. All right, so we have it looks like we have the last psychic vampire elder. Go ahead.
Rogue Psyker got mind crushed. I was afraid of all things, and is lashing out at everything that exists.
I can see that would be a very challenging situation to be in. There are definitely some people you might want to help your friend if you knew this rogue psyker. But given that psychic abilities can simply rip you apart and disperse your molecules across the ether, I would withdraw yourself from that and find yourself a safe location. Wait until they've calmed down a little bit. If you have the means, it might be necessary to destroy the psyker if you can. If you do not have the means, if they are too powerful, do what you can to get away, because some of the things psychers can do to you are well, let's just say it's better if they don't do that to you. Oh, you are the psyker. Okay. Well, you're talking to me. That's positive. And I'm over here on the other end of the Vox waves. Well, here's what you gotta do. You're not. The big thing about dealing with a lot of pain is that it just feels overwhelming, and you just feel like you're alone. There's no one who can help you. The demons are surrounding you. Their whispers are insistent. So maybe you you want to talk about things. Everything is evil. I think a lot of people are hurt. I don't think very many people are outright evil. I think a lot of people are hurt. And just like you, you say you're lashing out. I think it's mostly people lashing out. People, I think, from what I've heard from those who have fallen to chaos and a lot of their rhetoric, the people who've done the most abominable things do so from a place of hurt. They feel that there's nothing good they can do. They're alone. They're full of hatred. They're resentful, and they'll lash out and try to hurt others, essentially out of their own hurt. So, I would my suggestion is you can spend some time here. Talk to other people. We have a lot of people in the Vox feed who might be able to help you. They might tell you things like, "Have you tried killing someone? Have you tried bashing a git's head in?" They might suggest sleeping for 65 million years. But they all mean well, and I think it's valuable to hear the different perspectives, even if they're not always good ideas. Okay, so we got Kev'aun Jones. I'm frustrated with the guest that's living in my house. They're staying here till the end of the year. The issue is, though they have some habits that are habits that are an inconvenience. It depends on. It's going to be a cost-benefit analysis, I think. Of, is it worth? They're going to be there to the end of the year, so their leaving time is apparent, is definite. And they have some habits that are an inconvenience. Well, it's sort of, is it worth it to confront them about this? Which it might be. It might be to be like, hey, these are the problems. I need you to. We're living together. I want to get along better. Can we address some of these issues and try to address these things? Sometimes that works. Sometimes they'll do it for like a little while and then kind of relapse. But it will kind of be a push and pull. Anytime you have groups of people living together, there is a kind of negotiation that occurs when figuring out living arrangements. And you might need to make the call of either, is it worth confronting this person? If you do confront them, they still might not change. And then if they don't change, is it worth trying to push the issue, or maybe getting rid of them, or would you rather just have the extra money? And that's going to have to be for you to decide. That's just some things I would suggest looking into it. Logan, I don't mind you, Psychic Vampire. I don't mind you joining in and what everyone's doing, but we got a lot of messages one after the other. So just let's give others a chance to talk as well. So we have Fairy Den.
Yeah, my turned green today. Today I have a pet Gretchen now.
An interesting turn of events. I must. I must say that. Well, I hope. Well, let me. Logan seems to have been upset. I wouldn't go. Like I said, this is not a replacement for psychotherapy, and while we are happy to have people here, I do worry about someone coming in and kind of monopolizing time. Well, I'm down to kind of address people's issues, but we can't. There are a lot of other people here, and everyone's needs kind of need to be met as well. But as far as your thing turning green, and now you have a pet Gretchen, that is. Well, that's certainly something. I don't really know what to make of that. That's sort of the problem here. Is we can do. I'm a little worried if I I'm just being told that my connection is a bit unstable. Oh, is everyone still able to hear me? I'm getting a message saying that my connection is unstable. If I'm cut off, then I want to be able to react to that. Okay, everything sounds fine? Okay, I'm just getting a message. I just want to make sure everything's fine. Okay, that's fine. But yeah, just in general, like I said, for anybody who's struggling with something really bad, this is not the best place to kind of burst in and kind of dump everything out, especially because we're kind of couching things in terms of the grim darkness of the far future. And if your problems are less the grim darkness of the far future and more the grim darkness of a different time and place, really getting into that sort of thing, having some conversations, doing some self-examination, that's fine. But if you're in a crisis, this is not a good place for it. There are people to call, and I absolutely urge, if you're having a genuine crisis, there are numbers you can call. There are hotlines. I suggest that people kind of make use of that. If you are in a genuine crisis, this is a little bit more peace and serenity, and a little bit of banter, a little bit of understanding one another. I'm not prepared to kind of deal with psycho breakdowns, I suppose. Okay, let's take a look. What else we got? I just want to do a thing, but I just ain't doing it. And if the boss says do it now, I say yeah, but still don't do it. How do I start doing? Well, I think it's just what you want to do when you have like a big task that is hard to start. Sometimes it's good to break that task up into smaller pieces. For me, I am often writing different edicts and things for Septor Moose. I have a lot of administrative things to do, and I can get very overwhelmed if I have lots of things piling up in my to-do box. And sometimes it's like this. There's just something that's really big, and I don't know where to start. Sometimes it is just important for me to get out the data slate, to open up the file, and to just stare at the screen. And just getting it open makes me more likely to get started on my project. And that might be what it is for you. If your boss says, I want you to attack this thing, and I want you to take it over, and you don't know where to start, maybe just start with that Humi right there. That git right there. Kill that git, and then kill another git, and then slowly, eventually, you're going to start moving towards your goals. All right. So we have my regiment, 114th Vicenian Valkyries, has been in combat zone for 20 years. Almost all of the girls are gone now, and the newbies are locals. No one remembers Vicenia. I feel isolated and alone. And that is very understandable. A lot of people build a very strong community with people that are culturally similar to themselves, and there is a certain amount of difficulty that comes from losing that connection, that you're just not around people that think similarly to you. And in many ways, there's not a way to make that easier. Being around a community, having a support group, having like-minded people around you can be very psychologically helpful to have people that kind of think the way you do. It can also be bad if you only are around people who think like you or are not used to different groups, which might be kind of the thing to do is maybe start learning a bit more about local culture, I understand wanting to keep your culture alive, but if you want to feel less lonely and isolated, maybe connecting a bit more with the locals, getting to know people, maybe including the locals if you still have any of it, any of Vicinians still around. Maybe they could learn about Vicinium. But I think there's kind of some unavoidable tragedy in that, like losing a lot of people, losing one's culture, being in a different planet is going to be difficult, and there's not really a way to avoid that. But you can take steps to make your time on your planet as pleasant as you can. That would be my suggestion. Let's take a look. Anybody else? Harlequin gave us advice by using memes against chaos. They seem to freak them out, so I'm told. I can't speak on that. I'm not sure. That is good advice. I'm going to be host for an RPG game, meeting players before we play tomorrow. That's good. Some sort of it is good to get comfortable as best you can, meet new people, and as you meet new people, one of the things that happens is there are sometimes conflicts that need to be worked out, and the thing that really makes people learn to be able to get along is a kind of a willingness to accommodate one another. That there's a give and take between all relationships, and both sides should do their best to accommodate the other one, and that's kind of the basis of any kind of relationship, from a casual acquaintance to just someone you're meeting, someone you just meet or passing in the streets, or someone that you know a little bit, someone that you've known for a long time, someone that you're spending your life with. It is very much based on your ability to kind of give and take. Okay, Kev'aun Jones, a dark Eldar who hijacked the Vox waves, gave me relationship advice. Should I be concerned? Yes, I would be concerned. I don't think Dark Eldar have the healthiest notions of relationships. So I wouldn't. Unless you would like to live the way Dark Eldar live, I would not listen to anything they would say. And even then, I don't think you would live the way. Just don't listen to them. They're not. Their job is to make you suffer. So I would not take their advice seriously. Meeting new boys, new conflicts, learning to get along. This sounds like a proper wall. I suppose so. Also good advice, look out for red flags. Better to drop a person than try to deal with them if they don't improve. Yeah, and that's kind of a thing you're going to have to judge for yourself. Of is this person going to put in the effort to? And sometimes they can't. Sometimes they aren't able to make the changes that kind of are necessary for them to function in an acceptable way in a group. And it's difficult to do, but it's sometimes a necessary conflict. Dark Eldars are really fun. If you throw them in cages on the moon, is really fun, like Big Boss Gorguts once said. I've heard of that. The Dark Eldar had a base upon a moon, and when the orcs conquered it, they placed the Dark Eldar in cages and then took advantage of the moon's low gravity to hurl the Dark Eldar as far as they could. While I am not an advocate of violence, and I certainly don't endorse the orcish propensity towards violence and mindless slaughter, I do think that is really, really, really funny and it's everything that the Dark Eldar deserve. All right. Looks like we have an advertisement for us coming in. We just want to get a word from one of our sponsors. Are you a species that has limited psychic potential? Come to the planet with no name. We don't have it. You try and say it, the air vanishes around your body. Become a sorcerer. Make new friends. Come today. I don't know who's approving these sponsors. Kristen? Are we vetting these? What do you mean when you listen to the recording it said something different? That doesn't seem possible. Okay. All right. Well, we'll have to keep an eye on that. Do you know where this one came from? The location, the address vanished from. It's now no longer there. Okay. All right. Well, I hope there aren't negative consequences to this. I apologize, but we need to be open to any kind of funding we can get here on the Kev'aun Jones show. It's probably an ad from that would. I might get in trouble for that. It's not a good idea to propagate that kind of information, but mistakes happen, even to the best of us. All right, we have another question. On the Tau homeworld, do you have festivals surrounding food and drinks to be friends? On Terra, we practice some old Terra bonding festivals. Yes, we do. What festivals we have are frequently related to the seasons of the planet that we're on, whether it's the harvest season or a growing season or the cold season, the dry season, the wet season. That's all a little bit different. We, of course, celebrate Unification Day, which is not, there is a day that is Unification, but we generally will celebrate a week-long sort of celebration of the Tau uniting as one, and that's kind of the only celebration that is observed throughout all of our empire. That we sort of revere the day that the ethereals were able to end the strife and infighting of the Tau and help to get us to where we are today with cutting edge technology that can match or surpass most species in the galaxy. Having some recaf. It's a good invention from the Guela. Let's see. Nothing surpasses Orc Tech, you pimpy gray git. I'm pretty sure lots of things are safer and more reliable than Orc Tech, and we don't need Gestalt psychic energy for our technology to work. If you kill enough orcs, their equipment also starts to work less well. We have Opusa coming in. I don't. They pay. Kristen, who's letting people pay for these sort of things? I feel like. Is this one a Slanesh one? All right. Go ahead. Put it on.
Have you ever pressed your butt against the window and screamed, "Behold, the moon has risen"?
No, Opusa. I haven't done that. I can't say that I. Suddenly, my serenity and oneness with the galaxy is suddenly that feeling is coming into question. We've dealt with a lot of things today, but I think that one has been the one that's somehow been the most disheartening. Well, Opusa, some people are saying that this happened to you, and I'm heartily sorry that this occurred to you. Serenity so difficult to achieve, so easy to shatter. Oh, it is. It is as easy to achieve as when you have a quiet moment. Um, we're often rushing around so often that we don't realize how the time that we have, which we can spend um, really processing our own grief, our own emotions, thinking about our internal workings, and achieving that kind of serenity. The difficult thing is kind of encountering the hardships of the galaxy. But if you kind of have this core of serenity, this peace you can go back to, it does make the hardships easier to endure and makes you more able to help others as well. Okay, let's see, what else do we have? Kev'aun Jones, what food would you say is best for a peaceful day? To me, it's leftovers and junk food. I could certainly see that, of having a day where you have few responsibilities and just taking a day to rest. Um, and then if you have food that does not require a great deal of work to prepare, that can also be a kind of rest. I think that life really kind of requires a great many kinds of experience. Some days we really need to work. We need to work very hard. We need to be tired and exhausted by the end of the day. And sometimes it feels good to accomplish something with hard work. But we also need days where we relax, where we don't do much, where we share a laugh with our friends, or sometimes just be alone. Be alone and enjoy some solitude, read a good book. And sometimes it's a mix. Sometimes we need to divide our time between leisure and work. Sometimes we have to deal with a crisis. This Serenity thing sounds like a proper grot talk to me. Without proper gets to stomp, you can't get a proper life. Well, I do believe that's kind of a very orky position that, well, orcs do need to fight in order to survive, which kind of makes it very difficult for them to have a meaningful existence within the greater good. I heard that this summer in some Tau cities that dessert delicacies are 50% off. What do you think of that? Oh, I think that can be. I think that can be. That's a good thing. It's a nice, pleasant moment. Especially if it is if you are on a planet where you do experience summer, where there's a hot season. I've understood that treats that have been cooled to below freezing definitely help with temperature regulation of the body and can produce endorphins and pleasant chemical reactions in the brain. Oh, Pusa, coming in again. Go ahead. What's your favorite blue stripper? I can't say that I have one. I Pusa, I do appreciate your contributions, but I really don't know what to do with a question like that. Um, it just seems unfortunate that my only answer to you is that I don't have one. I suppose I am fond of there is a kind of universal care that I have for those that are under my watch, which is probably the closest I can come to answering your question. Um, so I think favoritism is actually something I would try to avoid as a ruler. On a personal level, there's certainly people that I enjoy spending time with, but as a ruler, I need to be as impartial as possible. All right, looks like we have an orc calling in. Go ahead, please.
Whoa! Wait, use fish face. Wait, use fish face, not pointy headed. Yeah, sorry, wrong get, my bad. Yeah, I'm Get Masher actually. I'm looking for a spiky guys to find love.
Um, again, I don't really know how to. Well, get Smasher actually. I wish you luck. I don't think I've ever heard of an orc seeking love. Um, I mean, I could see that. I wouldn't think that orcs would be strangers to love. Um, I would expect them to know the rules, and obviously so do I. Um, but I don't know if orcs would seek a real commitment, which is what I'm thinking of. And you wouldn't. I don't think you'd get this from any other guy. Um, and I'm just trying to be honest. I'm trying to tell you what I'm feeling and try to make you understand when it comes to a loving and healthy relationship. You never want to give up on someone. You never want to let them down. Um, you don't want to run around and hurt them. So I appreciate that, and I hope that was some good advice for you. All right, we got a. Let's take a look. Okay, I'm terrible with time management. I should pay more attention. I was thinking the new job I got was for a month. It's for 3. It's not a bad job, but I don't want to work an 8-hour day plus travel time. Um, hmm. That it's a challenge, and it might, depending on what I would say that you're going to have to take a look at that from a cost benefit analysis of do you want to tough out the 3 months to finish the job, or do you want to leave early and look for something else? And that's kind of going to be a question of how bad is the job? Is it okay? Can you do this for a little while? Is it important enough that you need to change it now? That's going to be what you're going to have to look at. And I would talk to people you care about because that's kind of a thing you'd need to bounce ideas off of others. Okay, we have a human coming on. Hey, can I move to another neighborhood? I get assigned to a place with the Croots, and they keep having me for dinner. Um, well, we try to, because of the nature of the Croot, we obviously want them to be a functioning part of the town, but there are aspects of their culture that can be difficult to get along with. Um, I think trying to discuss things and finding commonality with your neighbors might be a good idea. There also might have been some sort of oversight in the paperwork because usually we don't try to put humans in Crute in the same area. I'll look into that. I'll see what's going on. If you're in, you should be able to contact me, and if you're in Sept or Moose, and I'll see what I can do about that because that sounds like a clerical error. Okay. Let's take a look. What else? Imperial citizen, only 8 hours by the Emperor? Yes, there. It's also important to remember that, like, there are many different kinds of people who um, for them an 8 hour workday, even with travel time, might be seen as um, something very desirable compared to the work conditions that they're experiencing. And it's not for the person who might be looking for the person who finds that level of work to be a challenge. No, I think there's something to do to appreciate one's position. But I think it is a little callous to say, well, why don't you think of, other people work 10, 12, 14 hours a day in factorums. Maybe you should be thankful, because it creates resentment in the person. It doesn't acknowledge the hardship they're facing or the challenges that they're facing. This still might be difficult for them to do, especially if they have other responsibilities. But I do think it is generally good to kind of have a general grateful attitude, and do occasionally consider that your circumstances are better than many people's, and just keeping that in mind when speaking to others as well. Oh, Crude, sorry we had him for dinner already. Our bad. But now I have these more developed thumbs. Well, that's looking on the positive side. We got Git Smasher. Boy, how do I use this voxy thing? Me Mech Boy says in that you slap it. I got your message. Yeah, I'm getting your message. Well, if the boy does not have nothing to do is bad, but if a boy is not having a proper time doing it is bad. I think that's true. I think you don't want to be. I think any kind of work is to some degree unpleasant. Otherwise, it's not work. It's leisure. But I think the important thing is that if you are having work that is challenging or difficult or stressful, that the work you're doing is something you find to be important or fulfilling or satisfying in some way, that you find the work itself to be somewhat rewarding, that doing a good job feels good, because otherwise the hardship kind of wears down on you. Even if you're working as waste disposal or on an agri world or something that's fairly rough, one of the things I've found that has been helpful for me. Now, you might say you're an ethereal. Your job is to rule. You're not working in the kind of the grime. But I have visited different planets and seen the work that people do. And the people who seem most satisfied are the ones who take pride in their work, that doing a good job at their task, if they can find satisfaction in just doing well, that seems to do a lot for satisfaction, and just things like that. Let's take a look, see what else we have. Well, I have to go convince my mother to buy some limited edition merch for me. Any tips for that, Kev? Do something nice for her. Dishes or whatever chore that she finds onerous. Go do a lot of stuff that's really nice for her. That would be my advice. She takes care of you at home. I would say go overboard and like give her like a couple days of kind of rest where you're taking care of most of the stuff. Even take over the responsibility for cooking dinner, whatever it is that she does that ease her burden. I don't know all of what she does for you, but do whatever you can to ease her burden, and request politely. Or you could also make it as an offer. It's like, let me do all of these things for you. I would love to have this, and let me make it worth it for you. So that would be my advice. Do something really nice for her. It's more than turning a hobby into a job. Saps enjoyment. Yeah, that does happen. I think if you have the right attitude about a job, if you just know that work is to a degree inherently unpleasant sometimes, but there's also the satisfaction of advancing, the satisfaction of learning new things, the satisfaction of improving your craft. I think some people go into turning a hobby into a job with the idea that this is going to just be enjoyable all the time. And what that often introduces is it introduces an unhappy element into something that is a hobby, which was just complete stress relief previously. And so it kind of disrupts what that thing is in your mind. I think if you go into any kind of work with the correct attitude and the correct expectation, it makes it a little easier to handle. But I'm not saying that there aren't bad jobs that you shouldn't take or that you could find better satisfaction, but I've seen a lot of people go from job to job to job with the same problems because they're trying to find the job that isn't going to make them unhappy, and to a great degree, doing work is a difficulty and a hardship. Procrastination is a bad thing, but we all suffer from it. All right, and now we have another word for our sponsor. Kristen, did you screen this one? Kristen, why are you nervously shaking your head? All right, if it's already bought and paid for, put it on.
Is your crotch spawn at that age where they are trying to usurp you? Corsair Daycare is here for you. We'll take your little gremlin, give them all the implements, and then the right meat to stab. Call us now.
Oh, I hope that none of the other ethereals are listening to this voxcast. Kristen, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you, but I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in you. But it is. Breathe in, breathe out. Seek serenity, achieve peace. Okay. Let's move it on. Let's move on. Git smash of thanks. Now's to business. What is the Tao's biggest chopper or most darker of shooters? Yeah, probably a battle suit. That sounds about right. It's I think the orcs would consider that to be very very Daka-y and Choppa-y and Smashy. Is I an eternal? I'm an ethereal. I am an ethereal. All right. Is there any other I think we're getting to just about the end of this voxcast. We've been going on for a little bit over an hour. Oh no, that's a good point. This advertisement of a dark Eldar in... Oh no, that must mean they are in Tau space. I will have to deal with that. But we've been going on for about an hour and approaching 10 minutes. I think we've talked about a number of different kinds of problems, including technical problems with keeping our advertisers screened, Kristen. But mistakes are exist to be corrected. As an ethereal, what's it like having an air fryer? It is a great responsibility to have an air fryer, to be able to consume fried food with just a fraction of the fat, and you can do it without any messy oil or anything like that. It is an immense responsibility and privilege, but it is necessary when conducting ethereal business. When we have guests over, that we have nice, healthy, air fried wings for people to eat. Okay, any other questions? Me's not understand. It's like yous have a big goggin and stuff, but still use goggins and not stompy. Why is use goggins not stompy a proper fist or chain fist? Well, the thing is, we have found that building a really big thing that's covered in guns and is really heavy is difficult to move around the battlefield. It's a really big target, and they're not very effective. We tend to build our weapons. We tend to have a weapon and then something to mount the weapon on. And we're more about doing a lot of damage from a long distance away than we are building a really big thing and then filling it with guns. With a lot of guns. We usually have our guns spread out. Big guns spread out so that they can be effective and not destroyed all at once. All right. Oh my! It does. It seems that I'm checking the news. I can see that Tau are running around with orc choppers, casting magic, and taking care of moody Drukari teens. Kristen, this is the result. Everyone is so easily influenced. Yeah, I know that we're very responsible for making the words of the ethereals highly influential, but I still don't feel like this is my fault, Kristen. I really don't. And we have another ad. All right, Kristen, let's see what this one is. Got a bad case of the munchies and too far in the underhighs? Try Hawkins brand chili fries. Now with less cornstarch. Buy now, get a free soda. Kristen, that one was not horribly objectionable. It wasn't. I don't know if people in Tau worlds are going to be able to, if that advertiser is really going to get the benefit that they wanted to, but that was not appalling. That's a step in the right direction, I think. All right, looks like we have Aun Vala himself calling in. Go ahead, my lord.
Aun Vala here. You guys get an air fryer? What? Were you going to send one here? Oil fried isn't helping my sept's health.
Well, Aun Vala, I'm certainly happy to send you an air fryer. I will do that right away. Kristen, could you put that? Yeah, if you can send it down to the packaging department. Yes, please. As soon as possible, as soon as we're able. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, my lord. O most holy one, we will have that to you as quickly as towily possible. So, all right. Well, I think that's not a bad place to end. For any of you who are still here and who haven't, please do make sure you like the stream. I'm also going to give you the Discord link. So that way, if you want to discuss more Kev'aun Jones topics and really come to peace with everyone here in the galaxy, you can follow that link and join us, and we will be happy to have you. and really pull you into the greater good and incorporate you as best as we can. So I thank you all for your generous donations. We've had a lot. We've had Old Man Skeletal, Hawkins, Edward Rylands, as usual, donating quite a bit. Opusa, despite his remarkable strangeness, did donate, so I do thank him for that. Ferryden donated. The Last Psychic Vampire Elder, I hope that their situation did get better. I do apologize that I wasn't able to help, but I do appreciate that they donated. We have Old Man Skeletal, once again. I think I said Old Man Skeletal. I'm just checking everyone, making sure we have a donation from all. Yeah, Old Man Skeletal donated quite a few times, as did Edward Rylands. So I do thank you all once again for your generous donations. It definitely helps to keep the voxcast on the air. And I do wish you a very good one, and I hope this was helpful to all of you. So farewell, and peace and serenity be with you all.